It was my second day at work, and this little girl comes up to me. She leans over and she says, in a very low voice, "There's a camera in your office." I thought, how cute. She probably saw one of the cameras we have around for security, and she just thinks it is for her. So I said, "What are you talking about?" "There's no camera in my office." She says, "No, there is a camera in your office." She runs off. Then I go back to work thinking, that's crazy. There's no way there's a camera in my office. About 20 minutes later, she comes up behind me again and she says, "You better leave now." I said, "Why?" And she points to the door. And I turn around and there's a huge black duffel bag with "Do Not Open" written on it in big bold letters. I'm a 32-year-old guy, and I've worked hard my entire life to get where I am today. I was recently hired as an executive assistant to this extremely wealthy old man. The pay is amazing and the hours are great. It's only about 2 hours a day, so I have plenty of time to work on my side business. The old man is in his early 60s, and he's always had a bit of a shady reputation. People have always said he looks shifty. But being the executive assistant means I don't have to deal with any of the clients or anything like that. I can work from home, and I only have to meet with him for an hour or so each day. It was perfect. On my first day, he brought me into his office to show me around. And even though it's a huge office, it's also full of stuff. He has old classic cars, old motorcycles, golf clubs, pictures of him with famous people. I mean, the place is a museum. It's also filled with guns. There are guns everywhere. There are small guns, big guns, real guns, fake guns. I mean, you name it, he's got it. While he's giving me the grand tours, he shows me this little girl dressed in all black. She's sitting in the corner, kind of drawing and coloring. He introduces her as his daughter and says that she's homeschooled. I thought, wow, what an interesting homeschooling environment. Then shows me the guest bedroom where I'll be staying while I'm working for him. The room is beautiful, but the thing that sticks out to me the most is the huge safe in the corner. He tells me that I should feel free to use whatever resources are in the office, including the safe. He gives me a passcode and he leaves. As soon as he leaves, I open up the safe and inside are stacks of cash, boxes of ammo, and several guns. It's insane. I mean, who has this much money just laying around? Then he comes back into the room and says, "Oops, sorry, wrong safe. This isn't the one you're looking for." Must have looked confused because he said, "Ah, never mind. You won't need anything in here." Then he finally leaves me alone. So after he leaves, I go back to the other safe and I take out the gun I'm going to use for the rest of the story. I start looking around the office to see if I can find the hidden camera that the little girl told me about. But I can't find anything. About 10 minutes later, he comes back in, and I quickly hide the gun under the desk. He sits down, and he asks me, "Have you found the camera yet?" And I said, "No. What camera?" And he starts laughing. "But don't tell me you haven't found it yet. Everyone finds it within 10 minutes. I thought, what the hell? He gets up and goes over to a painting that looks like it's crooked. He pushes the painting, and there's a hidden camera behind it. He says, "This is state of the art. There's no way you could have found it unless you knew exactly where to look." He then goes on to explain that he uses it to keep an eye on everyone. He needs to know who he can trust and who he can't. At that point, I just thought he was weird. I didn't think much of it. I thought maybe he was just overly cautious. I mean, he's a billionaire, so maybe it makes sense. It was about 7 p.m. and my shift was over, so I went to lock up and head back to my hotel. On my way out, I passed by the little girl and she says, "You should have left already." And I thought, what does she mean? I look back at the clock and it says 6:58. When I get outside, I see that she was right. My car is gone. The entire thing is surrounded by police tape. And as I'm standing there trying to figure out what happened, they start taking me into a cop car. I ask the officer what's going on, and he says, "Sir, you need to come with us." They drive me to the station house, and they put me in a small room. A couple minutes later, a detective walks in and he says, "Do you know why you're here?" And I said, "I have no idea." He tells me that they received a call saying that there was a hostage situation here. I asked them if this is some kind of joke, and the detective said, "No. The owner of the company called us and said that you kidnapped him and held him hostage here. He said that you stole all of his money, and now you have him locked up in the basement." I told the detective that I didn't kidnap anybody. I swear to God I only worked here for a day. But the detective wasn't having it. He said, "Well, that's too bad because we have a warrant to search your vehicle. We found fingerprints in the car that match yours, and we found surveillance footage of you entering the residence." I started freaking out. How could this be happening? Finally, they let me make a phone call and I call my boss. Answers the phone and I say, "You have to help me. They think that I kidnapped you and took your money. He laughs and says, let me get this straight. You called the cops on me? Really? I said. No, I didn't call the cops. They came to my car and they're taking me to jail. He says, oh, did I forget to tell you? There's another camera in the basement of my house. Make sure to check it when you get a chance. He hangs up and I almost throw my phone across the room. Now the detective is staring at me, so I quickly hide the phone. I'm thrown in a cell and I spend the night there. The next morning they bring me in front of a judge and I get released. I immediately call my boss and I ask him if he wants me to sue the cops or something. And he says, absolutely not. Don't sue them, you're fired. Goodbye. And he hangs up before I can even respond. Yeah, I lost my job before I even started. If I could go back, I would have sued them.
Owie.
I mean, how stupid do you have to be to hire a guy and then accuse him of kidnapping you after only one day? Oh. And by the way, the reason my fiancée set me up was because she wanted to steal his money. Yeah, I know. Couldn't believe it either. I mean, how could I have been so blind? She's always been after money. But I thought that getting engaged would change her. Nope. She tried to frame me for stealing my own boss's money. Yeah, I'm still pretty upset about it.